Welcome to the Augmentation of Man with Kent and Renee Miller, where we are giving the future.
The second part of this three-part series is called Intervention is Coming Soon. We hope you enjoy it.
So we were told a while back that intervention was coming. We didn't know what that meant, what it looked like. Here is a message, I believe from the 15th of August.
And we didn't know who was intervening.
But now we know, kind of.
Okay.
And so a friend of ours, a dear friend of ours, he's been saying that this message or what's coming is intervention. And I kind of went along with it, but then as I was deciphering these messages, I realized, Mike, you're absolutely right. So here we are. And we're going to do another PowerPoint because of it being able to show you how these messages come through. It gives validity to the channeling, and it's not just something that we make up.
The thing is, we've got confirmation that this is going to happen.
And what we are noticing lately is that these predictions and these messages we're getting are lining up to the astrological predictions. So you astrologers out there, take a look at your charts and see how this lines up for you. We find that it's interesting because our guides hardly ever give dates. And
it's a rarity, yeah.
But we're able to start recognizing when we see astrological predictions, oh, this is the time frame, the window of opportunity for this event to happen. So it's rather interesting. And if you'd like to leave us a message, feel free to do that. You can leave it at the bottom of the video.
Anyhow, let's continue with this.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen and we'll start a PowerPoint and then we'll switch back.
Like that first one, intervention is coming, a reverberating blow to the unjust. So
these are actual messages verbatim that our guides communicated to Kent telepathically. And then it's our job to take the words that they give us. When I look in my Greek and Latin root dictionary, we can piece together the words. Sometimes we need help, and we'll go back into meditation and ask the guides how you spell it, because sometimes that's not spelled correctly, or
we can't find it, so we asked further for clarification spelling.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a universal word and it's spelled, very unusual for us, but so we rely heavily on going back and asking for clarification. This is the direction that they want humanity to go. They don't want us to be spoon-fed any longer. So it's they're expecting us to put some work into our expanding consciousness.
So we want to recap a little bit at the first video, and which is called Soon You Shall Know. And we want to recap on that a little bit before we begin to show you what is really in the second video.
And I want to say too, at this point, is we don't know, these were two different lessons that we were given on 2 different days, and they're predictions actually. We don't know if it's talking about the same event or are they 2 different events. So it could be that they're overlapping. What I like to say is sometimes these messages can be vague, but when it happens, you always know. So it's meant to keep us alert to something coming down. It's meant to cause us to start paying attention and looking for that event to unfold, because the learning is in the retrospection, in the reflecting upon the events that led up to the final event, the decision making that occurred. So that's where the real learning is, and that's where our expanding consciousness lies.
I like this, what we're hearing and seeing, that humanity itself is beginning to awaken to everything that's going on. They're beginning to look at things and saying, well, this is not right, or this is right, but they're awakening to their surroundings, just beginning, but they are beginning to awaken.
So we're going to recap a couple of slides from the last video.
Well, I remember seeing a curtain, a stage with a curtain, and I saw the curtain falling, and all these different people were behind it. And it said the curtain will fall to reveal all the players. Now, are these players the unjust? We think they are.
So what our guides are saying is dishonesty prevails, and even the people also believe that dishonesty exists and the people don't like it.
Yeah, so non-earthlings, and we've been talking about non-earthlings for some period of time, will treat those with contempt and disgust.
So they're telling us an event will occur, causing a shock wave.
Yeah, and I presume they're treating the unjust. Events are suspect to debate or challenge the reality of consciousness.
And that is the way that it came through in the message. So these events are meant to be discussed and debated so that we can expand our consciousness.
Yes, and our learning. So those who have been oppressed, this is a world thing. This is not just the United States, this is a world thing. Those that have been oppressed will rise against their governments.
And the tyranny. So the complaints, grievances, and facts will be brought before the courts. So it looks like possibly this is going to play out in actual courts, or is it the court of public opinion?
Yeah,
that's another option.
Right. We're not sure which, but there is many corrupt courts, but there are many fair-minded courts. So we don't know how this will play out and what it means by courts. So clarity of understanding will not exist for a short time. There'll be a lot of confusion and discussion among the human population, what is going on. After this shocking event, due to many assumptions, and humans are great for assuming things. We know that, rather than getting all the facts and then putting it together.
Yes. And so I had heard a astrologer say that Mercury retrograde, it shouldn't only be thought of as events, the stumbling blocks to life and events that happen that are not sought after, but that it is also a time to reflect. So when Mercury retrograde comes around, it's a time to pull back and to reflect on the lessons that came before that period of time of Mercury retrograde.
And which I find is true, is that a cult-like atmosphere exists on both sides. Both sides of the atmosphere, Republican and Democrat or whatever.
The polarities.
The cult-like atmosphere exists. And when we have a cult-like atmosphere going on, we cannot come together and unify as one.
You have to move to the center. So they're telling us that atmosphere will lead to a carnivorous eating of each other politically.
Excuse me, I like the way they put that. Carnivorous eating of one another politically. And we can see that happening already.
So we want to remind everyone, in order to see the truth, we must be open to seeing the truth. You have to become neutral or more central. The more polarized you are to one side or the other, it's going to be completely impossible to see the truth.
And we're trying to tell people, don't be afraid of what you hear and see. Let it play out, because it will destroy itself.
And that's what our guides have told us. So this lesson is coming from August 15th, and it followed the previous one. So it starts out flogracious, an epicenter judgment. And I'd originally asked if flow was a blow, like it's the epicenter is an epicenter, and flogracious is a blow, and it's also following a period of time in which a debt has become payable before a penalty can be brought against a person or persons. So they like to combine these Greek and Latin root words and create new words to describe what they are trying to communicate.
Yeah, we're talking about epicenter. That's how most people pronounce it. At the point directly above the true center of the disturbance.
And they're talking about the event causing the disturbance or the shock
right,
waves,
which will cause waves, like very similar ways to an earthquake or a volcanic eruption where you have the epicenter. But it will radiate out. It will definitely radiate out. And so the judgment, the ability to judge or make a decision, form an opinion, and everybody does judgment at least once a day about their own family or another person they know. But we're constantly as humans judging. And it could be judged by the public, or it could be judged by a court. We're not sure which way that's going to go.
or both.
Or both.
It's already been judged. Our situation is being closely monitored by beings that are outside this earth, and they know everything that's going on.
They have too much stake here.
They can come into any conversation, listen in on what's happening. They know what's happening, and they have a true sense of disgust of the things that have occurred here on earth.
Their claim of innocence will not stand. And they're saying the presumption of innocence will not stand for those who have not perpetrated justice. Now, what does that mean?
So presumption of innocence is a term that's used in law, and it means to place the burden of proof on the defendants of the defendant's guilt upon the prosecutor. And it also means to assume to be innocent in the absence of proof to the contrary. Perpetrate means to execute or carry out. And then most people understand the use of the word justice, which is
righteousness,
lawfulness, or to cause to come before court for trial or punishment of misdeeds.
Again, now we don't know if it's a normal court or if it's a court of the people.
So they're telling us, the guides are telling us that this pleading or using the presumption of innocence in the, let's say, in the absence of proof to the contrary won't stand, because those who have not actively sought to perpetrate justice, the lawfulness, the righteousness, will have to suffer as a result of it, because punishment will come to them as well.
Truth will eventually come out for itself. So undeniable facts will be the downfall of the unjust. Facts, you can't contradict truth and facts.
Unless you're unwilling to accept it or see it.
So
right?
Quintessential beings will produce judgment. And we're going to discuss what quintessential beings are. Austratious facts will be the downfall of the unjust. Facts of deniable truth, undeniable. You cannot deny the truth. The collective is the determining factor.
Okay, so this one we had a little bit of trouble with deciphering the word austratious. We have been given some indication of what it means. However, we weren't able to get true clarity on it before this recording. So we're going to give you what we have. Quintessential beings means the most perfect embodiment of a being. It can be, and this is coming from our guides, it can be either human or non-human. It depends on the DNA sequence that captures the essence of who they really are. And these beings give direction to others. So they serve as guides.
Mhm.
So austratious, when I was looking up austratious, A-U-T means self in our language. However, they told us that it was spelled A-U-T-T. And then that was followed by what they said was megatory. So mega meaning large. And so when we go back up to the top austratious facts, we have to assume that this is a large amount of facts that will be presented that will be the downfall of the unjust.
Because the unjust is a violation of rights of others, which mankind is great for. Unfair treatment.
So it sounds like there's going to be a volume of facts and evidence. So it's going to be brought forth to a court that is going to be those that have been unjust are going to be held accountable for it.
This one makes me think when they said the court, I think it's both, because the people will judge the unjust.
So here we go with the intervention from outside.
Yeah, a serious attempt to the peregrine beings. Malfeasance is a form. Interesting statement.
And these are direct quotes from the reading from What Can't Hurt. I'm not certain that peregrine is spelt this way, but that is how it sounds. So it's not exactly how we would say it, a serious attempt, but what they did clarify was that they're here to help the humanity. So I would say, we would probably say a serious attempt from the peregrine beings. And then malfeasance is a form. So peregrine beings are beings from the world. Philogosis is what they said. We have never heard this of this world before.
No, and peregrine means to gather, bringing together, to gather.
And they evidently appear similar to humans, and they are here to help.
So malfeasance is performed by a public official in an act that is legally unjustified. That's an interesting statement. That is legally unjustified, in violation of the public trust.
And the way that they're using the word form here is a manner of performing something, like it has become the norm.
So equip, how do you say that?
So equipital is the word that they used. The root word being
easy for you to say. Yeah. Reluctance will produce irreversible events. The time is coming near to release the peregrine.
No.
The Paragonian. Okay.
Another being. Okay. So
maybe they're going to make themselves known here.
Let's start with equipital. It's derived from the root word equip, to furnish with intellectual or emotional resources to prepare. And reluctance means that you're unwilling to prepare. And that is what they're telling us going to cause irreversible events. So if we need to be prepared. We need to be equipped with the intellectual and emotional resources, and that will give us the best outcome.
And what is the Farragonian person?
It is a being who is the light, one who is part of the light. Now, the light, a lot of people hear about light and don't really understand the meaning of it. The light is the intellectual energy. It is the energy that is carried on the neural net, which is a cord, multiple cords and networks made up of charged particles, plasma. So they call them plasma cords. The light travels on the plasma cords, and that is what this information highway is created out of. And so you can tap into that. You can learn how to tap into that and be able to access intellectual information, much like you would Googling something, only you don't need the computer or the phone. You just do it in a meditative state.
Yeah, so this is going to cause a new event of pragmatic nature.
Yeah, so these Farragonians are a class of entities that nurture the light to our resistance. So humans have a tendency to resist understanding something, and they're trying to nurture our understanding. So these beings, they may be a non-physical. We really don't know if they're physical or non-physical, but they're trying to get us to understand what's going on here, because that's what's going to shift our reality. And that's what's going to help us to start this new era or new cycle at a higher level of learning and understanding. We have to have the truth.
So, and pragmatic is practical.
So it also means treating historical events with special reference to their causes, which means you have to go back and reflect on the events that have happened to come to a higher understanding of what happened. And so in essence, they're saying that if we resist or we're unwilling to load ourselves up with the information, it's going to produce irreversible events, and that the time is coming near where they're going to release these beings that are going to help nurture our expanding consciousness.
Yeah, and I this is my own thought, but I feel that they're going to release these helpers within the Native community.
The Native Americans are part of it.
Well,
They're
it's the
going to be
indigenous community.
They are the teachers, the new teachers, and they've already begun. If you get on YouTube, you can see the volume of videos that these Native American leaders are releasing to help teach the rest of the world how to behave and interact with our Mother Earth.
Yeah, so we're going to try to put all this together now. So the grace period is up. Okay, we talked about that for some years, and now the grace period is up. Judgment based on the epicenter of an event. That's like looking at the center and seeing what caused what's happening. Okay, dealing a blow to those who have not upheld justice.
And that presumption of innocence will not stand in court for those who have not stood for law and justice. So if it's actual court or if it's the court of public opinion.
So perfect beings who give direction to others will produce the judgment.
Mm-hmm.
They'll begin the judgment.
So
either by judge or by the collective, but perfect beings will direct this.
And these can be either human or non-human. They're called the quintessential beings, and they have it, their purest essence is incorporated into their DNA.
My own feelings, I don't think there's a lot of them here
Maybe
in this
not.
world, but it doesn't
Certainly
take,
not
it doesn't
earthlings.
take, right, they're certainly not earthlings, but we'll
Okay.
see. So the undeniable facts presented to the collective, which is humankind in its whole,
Mhm.
will be the downfall of those who have violated the rights of others, the rights given to us by the Creator.
Okay, so where the true learning begins, and a serious attempt by the Peregrine beings who are here to help humanity. They are going to come in and help turn things around for us.
Yeah, they didn't say take over, they said help.
Right.
Acts in violation of the public trust, which is happening now, has become the normal manner of doing business by public officials.
The unwillingness to prepare intellectually and emotionally will produce irreversible events. So we have to be prepared.
Yeah, so the time is coming near to release a class of entities that will nurture the light to the resistance.
Our resistance.
Yes. A new paradigm that treats historical events with special reference to their cause.
Mhm.
So reflection equals expanding your consciousness.
So we want to finish with this. We got this a couple of days ago, this message. Austratious events will occur directing humanity to a new shadow of truth. So austratious, our guides have told us the original meaning of austratious, or ASTR is the root word, is not southerly as in Australia. The word evolved to mean that. Originally, the word meant extreme. So they're telling us extreme events will occur, directing humanity to a new shadow of truth. And that, that truth has to occur. We have to be able to understand the mess that we got ourselves into.
And not repeat it.
And not repeat it, but also it's a part of our expanding consciousness. And this is where we're going in the next era. So we can't have the blinders on. We have to be able to look at the bad, the good, the ugly in order to have that wisdom and to move into a new field of at a higher level of learning.
So as the indigenous people will say, we are now at the end of the fourth world. We're going to leave the fourth world. Are you prepared to understand and accept the wisdom by those that are giving it to enter the fifth world? It's going to be a brand new paradigm.
And that does not mean we're going into the fifth dimension.
No,
so
that has nothing to do with dimensions.
It is the fourth cycle that we're finishing now, and each cycle is tied to certain learning that needs to be accomplished. Just like when you go to school, first graders need to accomplish X, Y, and Z before they can graduate and go into the second grade.
So we're in the fourth grade now, and we're going to go into the fifth, right?
Yeah, and the other thing is, actually, it's lower than that.
We're still in kindergarten.
We're still in kindergarten when it comes to the universe. So there is a misnomer out there. People who they believe it's not, I don't think it's done intentionally. It's, I think they truly believe we're going into the fifth dimension, but we aren't yet. What our guides have told us is that first of all, we have to come to completion of the lessons in the fourth dimension, the first four dimensions of space and time. And then you can't automatically move into a physical fifth dimension because that requires a different type of physical body. This body, it cannot attune to that. you have to actually have a physical death. And then when you reincarnate, you incarnate into a new type of physical body that fits into a fifth dimension. The other thing
And
is
the fifth
that
dimension may not be here on this earth.
it may be in
It's
other
totally
multiple
another
areas.
place, right? So
We don't know.
there's not enough knowledge about dimensions to make a fact.
Mhm.
With all assumption and we surmise that this means this or this means that. Okay.
But this is what we're being told by our guides, is that first, we're going to be in the shadow of the fifth dimension, and that there will be new information, technology, medical advances, and things like this that are going to come out of the fifth dimension that we're going to be learning about first. We have to acclimate to that first
And accept.
and accept it
Mhm.
and be able to assimilate it intellectually before we can physically move into a fifth dimension. Because why would you be able to go into a new learning sphere at a higher level and not understand anything?
Right.
So you have to be able to understand it before you move into it.
Right. So anything that you're able to go and do, like a new project, a new event, you have to understand why you're doing it and what is really there before you enter into that event. Otherwise, you're going to be in chaos. So this new medical technology that is coming in the fifth dimension is, I'm going to say, it's awesome. You
They
know,
told us it would seem miraculous.
yeah. So with that, I hope you get something from this particular video, and we'll be making the third part of one of three.
I think actually this wraps up
You
the
think?
information, unless we
Unless I
have
get some more information.
unless we have new information. We're going to call this the end of it. And so it'll
Well,
be part one, part two,
I
unless we get more
feel
information,
there'll be more information. I really feel
possibly.
there will be more information.
Anyway, if you're an astrologer, please leave us a message at the bottom of the video. It would be very interesting to see what your opinion is
Yeah.
as far as timing regarding these messages we're receiving. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
joining us.
I do want to say one last thing. The next 4 months or so, 4 to 5 months, is going to be horrific. So strap your seatbelt tighter and hold on. Do not fear what you see or hear, because it will play itself out and it will justify.
It'll justify itself.
Mhm.
Yeah, and consider the fact that we are going through a radical transformation. This is all meant to put humanity back on the right path. So thank you for joining us. And as always, peace be with you on your journey to enlightenment. Have a great day.